Sup? Welcome to another video. Outside today, beautiful weather, nice warm weather, but gotta stay hydrated. But nonetheless, let's get into this Q&A. We actually got some good questions, got a lot of them, or kind of. So yeah, let's try to get into it. Now, if you haven't watched one of my Q&As before, I try to go pretty in-depth on a question, if it's an in-depth question. Otherwise, I try to keep it fairly concise, try to get through most of the questions without keeping the video too long. So let's get into it. If you want to ask me a question and you haven't, follow me on my IG. That's where I post when I'm going to be doing a Q&A. That way you guys can be notified. So follow my IG, the link for that is in the description. But first question, back pain when jumping, how can I fix it? So that can be due to a few different things. Could be due to form on your lifts. Maybe you're lifting with incorrect technique and that's causing some back pain. Maybe you tweaked it. Maybe it's jumping technique. You could be landing wrong, putting more pressure on your back rather than letting your hips or your glutes absorb the force. So you've got to look at that. If it gets really serious, if it's still there after some time and it doesn't sort of disappear, I would rest. The best thing you can do is check it out. If you're getting some pain that isn't going away, check it out, get it checked by a professional, see what it is, take some time to rest, find out the cause, that way you can find out how to treat it and prevent it from being an ongoing thing. So that's the biggest thing. Next question, what's your all-time goal with dunking? I like this question. My all-time goal is to basically be at a professional level, so be able to windmill consistently, East Bay fairly consistently, do a double up over someone, all those sort of dunks that you have to be able to do to be considered like a professional dunker. I want to be able to do on a fairly consistent basis, and I am a long way from it, but I do think that in maybe, who knows, 5+ years time, if I keep working, I think I can get to a level where I can do at least, hopefully, most of those dunks, if not all of them. But yeah, that's sort of my all-time goal, to be at like a professional level pretty much. On deload week, on strength day and explosive day, how should I do them? So deload weeks, basically the main purpose of them is to give your CNS a rest. It could just be after 4 to 6 weeks of heavy, intense programming. You want your CNS to recover, that way you don't, fry yourself out. So for me, what I do on deload weeks, I try not to do any plyos in my workouts. I try not to do any jumping as well. I go by how I feel on that week. If I don't feel too taxed, then I will do a jumping day, but I definitely don't do any plyos. And for the main lifts, instead of doing whatever my program is set out, I'll just do 50% of my 1 rep max, take the time to focus on form, reinforcing good technique, and do a standard maybe 3 sets of 6 to 8 reps. And that's basically what I do for a deload week. So it's not changing too much, it's just on your main strength day, just doing the main lift at 50%, maybe even as low as 30 to 40%, taking the time to work on form. That way next week you can come back being refreshed. Is increasing your vertical jump easy or hard, and what's your experience? That depends on how much you want to increase it by, I guess. If you want to increase it by 5 inches, it might not be that hard. If you want to increase it to 20 inches and try to get a 40 or a 50 inch vertical, then it is hard. So it just depends on that, and also depends on the individual. For some, it comes very naturally just due to genetics and their strength levels and things like that. For others, it's very hard. So it's just all relative. It's hard to say is it easy or hard, but it just depends on what your goal is. How much do you want to increase it by, your genetics and just all those different factors. But I would say, based on my experience, it has been hard just because my genetics aren't the best. I would say the average, if maybe even just below average, so it hasn't been the easiest to increase my vertical. I've been training for about 4 to 5 years and have only got to about a 38 inch vertical, which I would consider fairly average given the time frame I've been training for. What's your vert? 38 inch max vert, 33 inch standing vert, which I just got recently, by the way.
Ryan Little.
Yeah, let's go! How do you change up your training when you hit a plateau, and what are your 2019 dunk goals? Good question. So when you hit a plateau, you don't have to change major things in your programming. It's just tweaking small things here and there. So it could be changing the frequency of how you lift. So if you're maybe doing 1 leg day a week and your body's kind of gotten used to that, you can just up the frequency, do 2 leg days a week, and that way you're getting more overall frequency and volume in, which can help lead to gains. You could up the intensity. You can do a whole bunch of things. You can even change the exercise selection just so it gives your body a bit of a new stimulus by giving it some new exercises that you don't normally do. So it's just making small tweaks with those sort of things. It could be the reps, the sets, the frequency, the intensity, things like that. A lot of people have the misconception that you have to change your whole style of training. It's not true. It just depends on where you're at with your experience and things like that. But yeah, usually it's just small tweaks here and there. Oh, and what are my 2019 dunk goals? 2019 dunk goals is to be able to dunk on 10 feet with no problems, be able to do that consistently, get it like a good few times each session, even if it's like an average session, and then start working towards even bigger goals, a 40+ inch vertical, maybe even getting close to dunking with 2 hands. Those would probably be my main 2019 dunk goals. Man, I just locked my phone after each question. Why do I keep doing that? Are you very flexible? I would say I'm pretty flexible. I definitely think that flexibility helps with jumping a lot. So I do try work on my flexibility. I'm fairly flexible. I can, get basically my palm to the ground when doing like a hamstring stretch and things like that. My hip flexors are pretty stretchy, pretty flexible. So yeah, I do think I am, and I do think I still have a long way to go with that. And if you aren't flexible, I think you could be losing a lot of inches on your vertical and just overall health. So I would try and improve that. Just did it again. And the last question, what is the best methods of training? Plyo, weighted, or both? Definitely both. I've talked about this before, but you need plyos to be able to convert your strength quickly, and you need strength training to be able to have that strength. So to do both is a necessity. There are programs there that maybe only have plyos. I wouldn't recommend them unless maybe you're just starting out, you're a beginner. You can get some of the newbie gains from that program. But once you start to reach that intermediate to advanced phase, you definitely need something that incorporates both plyos and strength training, and is just structured in a good, efficient way. So definitely both. If you can't get out to a weight room, I would try your best. Just try your best to do it, because trust me, you will see that rapid increase in your vertical when you start putting on some good strength gains. So try to do that. If not, just try improvise. Maybe you can just increase the frequency of your plyos. But yeah, for best results, plyos and strength. So that's it for this Q&A, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like if you did, subscribe if you're new. We're almost at 500 subscribers. Doing a giveaway of the tees, the Athletic FTF tees at 500. Just a reminder. Can't wait to do that. So make sure to smash that button, turn on post notifications, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace. The fucking world is a ghetto full of